Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Proven Inspiration. I do hope you're having a good day. I'd like to provide you with training today, and our topic for today is Are you listening? This topic is for happily married couples, HP, couples that are happily married or on your way to being happily married. Listening is a crucial part of any relationship. And listening in a loving relationship is not just about hearing the words that are being spoken, it's also about taking action. So, listening is an action word. Too often, when couples are dating, they cannot get their eyes off each other. You just feel so connected with this individual. You listen to every word they say. However, when you get married, something seems to happen to your ears. And this often happens with men. Not to pointed fingers, but just generally, it almost seems like men stop listening to their women or to their wives. Louis de Bernier, he defines love as follows. He says, "Love is what is left when being in love is burnt out." And I paraphrase. He says, "Love is what is left over when being in love has burnt out." And that's very much the case because sometimes when you feel like you're in love with a person, it may just be a case of infatuation, which is this deep desire that you have for this person. You cannot see their flaws, and you're just so fixated on them. But then after that wears off, 18 months or 2 years thereabouts, if it lasts that long, you realize that you don't have any feelings for them. You don't feel like you love them. You're no longer in love with them. That could be an indication that you were just infatuated and not actually in love. But when you no longer feel like you're in love with your spouse, but you still feel this settled peace and love for them, then you know you have the real deal. You actually love your spouse. So when you love your spouse, you will make every effort to listen to them. When you listen to your spouse, there are certain things that you must do. Think back to when you were first dating. When you're married, there's a tendency to listen to them whilst you're on your phone or listen to them whilst you're cooking or doing something else. But you have to try and make time. Of course, those things will happen because perhaps you're raising kids and life is busy. But you can't always communicate like that because the information the information you were given to your spouse is your secondary. You don't matter as much as this meal I'm cooking, or you don't matter as much as my work. So you cannot communicate like that on a long-term basis. You have to make time for your spouse. When you sit down, look into their eyes, switch off the phone, and just focus on them. When listening to your spouse, it's important that you look into their eyes and listen not just with your ears, but listen with your heart. Listen to the words that are coming from their lips, but also listen to the words that they are not saying. So these are the things that you would have done when you were dating. Go back to dating mode in your mind and focus on your partner. Focus on their facial expression, focus on their eyes, focus on what they're saying and what they're not saying. And based on what you are reading from them, what you're discerning from them, ask questions, because when you listen in this way with such a focused attention, you're better able to pick up things that they have not said. So your wife might be complaining about how a boss treated her at work, but then as you're listening and watching the emotion that she's given off in her voice and in her eyes and with her face, you could possibly ask a question. Does that remind you of a previous experience? How did that make you feel? Did that dredge up memories from your past? When you ask those kind of questions, what you're saying to your partner is, I really care. I understand what you're saying. I want to understand even more. Tell me more. Share more with me. And that's such a priceless gift, because the gift that you were given in that moment is the gift of yourself. And that cannot be compared with any car, any house. It cannot be compared with anything, because you're giving them your undivided attention. So you're saying to your spouse, I love you enough to focus on you and to listen to you. So when you listen with your heart as well as your ears, your husband might say, oh, my shoulders hurt like so much from work, my muscles really hurt. And because you're listening, you as his wife can say, honey, would you like me to give you a massage later on tonight? So you haven't just listened, you actually taken action to try and make his life better. Or you might hear your wife say, oh, I'm so tired of eating the same thing every week. And based on what you've heard, you can say, honey, would you like me to cook this Friday? Or shall we go to a restaurant to order a takeout? You're listening, and because you're listening, you are taking action. So those words are not just being spoken for you to just hear them. They're spoken for you to actually try and make the life of your spouse better. Okay? These are my thoughts for you today. Be very intentional in listening to your spouse, because that can be the biggest gift that you give them. Okay? All right. So please feel free to share this video with whoever you think needs to hear it. From my heart to yours, until next time, do take it easy. Bye.